This is video 2 of a seller series, the 7-day listing strategy that creates multiple offers in Atlanta. What if I told you that the outcome of the home sale, the final price, the terms, the stress level, everything is largely determined on the first 7 days that your house is listed? Not the first 30 days, not after the first open house, the first 7 days. That's a reality check. Most sellers don't know this, and most agents don't build a strategy around that. They list the home, and they wait, and they see what happens. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we approach those first 7 days and why that difference shows up on the closing statement. There's a psychology of a new listing. Here's what happens the moment your home hits the market. And I mean the exact moment. There are buyers in your neighborhood, in your price range, who've been waiting. They've set up their alerts. They've looked at every comparable that's come up in the last 6 months. They know your street. Some of them have even driven past your house in hopes that it would come on the market one day. And the second your listing appears on the market, they move. The pool of waiting buyers is your most valuable asset as a seller. They're motivated. They're informed, they've been waiting, and now they're ready. And you get one shot to reach them with a listing that stops them in their tracks. If your presentation is exceptional and your price is positioned correctly, those buyers converge in the first weekend. They show up at the same open house, they see each other, and they get FOMO. Their heart starts beating fast, and oh my gosh, what if I don't get this house? And their psychology shifts. Instead of each buyer negotiating individually, they start competing. That competition is where your price goes up, where contingencies get waived, and where terms shift in your favor. But that same pool of buyers, if your photos are mediocre, if your price feels off, if your listing description is generic, or they can tell it was written by ChatGPT, they swipe left and they don't come back, because by the time you've addressed those issues, they've bought something else. This is why the first 7 days before you list matter as much as the 7 days after. So I'm going to give you an example of what this means. A house across the street from me in Morningside wanted to sell to buy the house next door to me in Morningside. And we had the home pre-appraised before we listed it. The appraisal came in at 1.3, but because we know how to list homes and get them sold, we priced it at 1.25 to go to market. We listed it on a Thursday. By the time it syndicated to all the MLSs, it was 24 hours later. Everybody saw it by Friday. Saturday and Sunday we had open houses, and there were probably 40 people that came through the open house that weekend. So of course that created FOMO, and we had 5 offers all over list, and one paid 1.4 cash and closed in 2 weeks, and obviously that one got the deal. The week before the listing, though, is the real launch period. The strategy before the sign goes in the yard and how we approach the week for the listing matters too. We're all about professional staging, or if you can't do professional staging, we do high-end virtual staging, which looks fabulous. I know you don't want to spend any more money, and I know that a lot of sellers push back on this staging concept, but let me just tell you what the real numbers are. Staged homes sell for 5 to 15% more than unstaged homes. So if your home is listed or gonna list for 1.5 or more, we believe it's not optional. And actually the number is negligible in the grand scheme of things, because staging for a home at 1.5 is usually $6,000 to $10,000. But if you're going to get a 15% return on your investment, I mean, do the math. It's not even close. So we love to stage everything over 1.5. Anything under that, we'll do high-end virtual staging. And you know, with AI right now, we can get things to look absolutely gorgeous. And at Chattel Group, we have a certain standard. And so everything, I don't care what price point you are, it It follows our standard of excellence. So we're not talking about putting nice furniture in a room. We're talking about flow, light, scale, and helping buyers imagine their life in the space. A great stager reads a home and amplifies what's already there. It's strategic, not decorative. And professional videography and photography are not optional at Chattel Group. Since I come from a marketing background, I have a keen eye on how things appear and how they'll look on the internet. Your listing photos are your first showing. In 2026, buyers have already decided whether they want to see your home before they ever schedule a visit, based entirely on what they see on screen. We use professional photographers who specialize in real estate and understand light, angle, and what makes a space look its absolute best. For appropriate videos, we add video walkthroughs and drone footage. Those aren't extras anymore, they're table stakes. Well, and our secret weapon I'm going to clue you in on is the pre-listing inspection, especially with older homes. And this one surprises sellers, but it's one of the most powerful tools, putting the cards in the seller's hands. So we do a pre-listing inspection before the home even goes on the market. Why? Because it removes the biggest source of deal uncertainty. When a buyer's inspector finds something during the due diligence, they have leverage. They can use it to renegotiate the price, ask for repairs, or even walk away, which is what we are trying to stop in its tracks. When we've already identified and addressed any issues or disclosed them transparently up front, that leverage disappears. Buyers compete more confidently. Deals are cleaner, and it's one of the most consistently high-impact things we do. A pre-listing inspection is typically around $750 to $1,000 depending on the square footage of the house. Well worth the investment. So now we got to talk about pricing for a launch, the event-based strategy, which we like to use. So we've done a full video on pricing strategy. I'll link it below. But let me give you the version that matters most for the 7-day approach. The goal of event-based pricing is not to list at what you hope to get. It's to list at a price that creates the conditions where buyers naturally drive the price to where you want it to be, and even higher sometimes. In practice, for a home worth about $1.3 million in Virginia Highland or Morningside, that means listing it at 125 or 1225. That price shows up more in buyers' searches, and it looks best on the market comparing it to the comps, which the buyers are already going to be doing. So that creates urgency. Buyers can see that something prices well is going to move fast, and that's what they're interested in. They want to get in on the action as soon as possible. The result, when it works, and in strong demand neighborhoods it works consistently, is multiple offers at or above the price you would have listed at if you just priced aspirationally. The goal is not to list too high. The goal is to sell high, and this is how you close that gap. So here's our launch day plan. So the home goes on Zillow. Launch day is coordinated and syndicated across every channel simultaneously, and the goal is to maximize exposure in a minimum of time. And here's what that looks like in practice. The MLS listing goes live with professional photos, compelling listing descriptions that tell the story of the home and the neighborhood, and accurate, complete data. No typos, no placeholder language, no photos of the toilet, and please close the lid of the toilet before your photographer shows up. Simultaneously, we deploy targeted digital advertising, not just a boosted post, but paid campaigns reaching buyers in specific demographics, income ranges, and geographic locations that match your home. Say for a Buckhead estate, that might mean targeting corporate relocation buyers coming from New York, San Francisco, or Chicago. And for a Morningside bungalow, that's a different profile. That profile are people with children who want to go to Morningside Elementary. The targeting matters. Then we'll send an email to our buyer database, people actively looking in your neighborhood, your price range, and frankly, these are our warm leads. This email often generates showing requests before the home even goes live on the public portals. We do agent outreach, direct calls and emails and texts to agents who sell in the neighborhood or who may have active buyers in your category. Agent-to-agent communication in Atlanta's in-town market is a real factor. A listing agent who's known and trusted in the community gets calls that a less connected agent doesn't. We're in the know. Experience matters. Reputation matters. So we also do a coming soon social media campaign days before the launch, building awareness and anticipation before the home is officially available. Buyers hate missing out. A little advance notice creates exactly the urgency we want on day one. Okay, so the first weekend of the listing, we've got to manage the momentum. If the pre-launch preparation has been done right, the first weekend is going to be very busy. Here's how we manage it. So we hold structured open houses, ideally Saturday and Sunday, and we treat this like an event, not an obligation. We have good signage, a clean, beautifully presented home, and a host who knows the neighborhood cold, not just the house, the neighborhood. Because a buyer choosing between your home and 3 others is also choosing a lifestyle. And an agent who can speak to the best coffee shop, the farmer's market, the school, the commute, that's an agent who closes more deals. We track every showing. We follow up with every agent who brings a buyer through, same day. We want feedback immediately, not to be defensive about it, but to understand the buyer's temperature. Are the people excited? Are there common objections? If we're hearing the same concern from multiple buyers, that's information we can act on. And so then we set an offer deadline, typically Sunday evening or Monday morning of that first weekend. Why? Because an offer deadline creates urgency. It tells buyers, you have a window, and when it closes, it closes. Buyers who are interested but thinking about waiting suddenly realize that waiting costs them the opportunity. Offer deadlines consistently produce more offers and better terms than open-ended timelines. And this is how we evaluate and negotiate multiple offers. And you're saying, multiple offers sounds like we've solved a problem. No, not quite. Because offers are not just about price. And choosing the wrong offer over the right one is a mistake sellers make more than you'd think. Here's how we evaluate a multiple offer situation. We build an Excel spreadsheet. Every offer side by side with earnest money, due diligence, financing contingencies, inspection, closing, blada blada. And then we add what we know about each buyer's situation, how their financing is structured, whether they've been in a backup on other homes, and how their agent communicates. So agents, pay attention to this. Your communication with the listing agent is paramount when you're submitting in multiple offers. Remember, a highest price doesn't always win. A cash offer at $1 million often beats a financed offer at $1.1 million because cash removes appraisal risk and finance contingencies entirely. A buyer with a shorter due diligence period and a clean inspection approach often beats a buyer asking for a longer window. And a buyer whose agent we know and trust, whose deals closed, often beat an unknown quantity at a higher number. And that's where trust comes in. We walk our sellers through every offer and trade off clearly. No jargon, no pressure. We present that Excel spreadsheet, data, data, data. The goal is for you to make the right decision that's right for your situation with complete clarity about what you're choosing. The 7-day strategy isn't complicated, but it requires preparation, coordination, and a real understanding of how buyer psychology works. Most sellers never see the difference between a listing that's just posted and a listing that's genuinely launched because they've only experienced one in their lifetime. If you're starting to think about selling in Atlanta, say the next 6 months, maybe the year, or even you're just sort of kicking the idea down the road, now is the time to talk to Chattel Group because preparation is everything. And when you get it right, those 7 days do the work of 60. The link to reach us is below, and subscribe if this was helpful. This is one of 7 videos we're doing specifically for Atlanta sellers this season. See you in the next one.